Jesse Kane had seen winter carve men down to bone, but nothing in all his years riding the Laramie Trail prepared him for the sight of the woman in the snow that morning. January winds sliced through the pines like broken glass, carrying with them the faint howl of something too heavy to be wolf, too soft to be human. Jesse tightened the wolf fur collar of his coat, boots crunching the crusted ice as he approached her. She did not flinch when he drew near. Her dark hair clung to her cheeks in frozen strands, breath rising in thin white ribbons. The iron manacles hung from her wrists like dead serpents, the metal stained with blood, turned black by the cold. She whispered the name again, McAllister, as if it were both curse and prayer. Inside the cabin's warmth, her eyes adjusted slowly, tracking every nail in the walls, every shadow near the stovepipe. She accepted a tin cup of heated snowmelt like someone unfamiliar with kindness. Jesse watched her sip, her fingers steady, too steady for someone who claimed to have crawled through death itself. She spoke of the McAllister gang, how they rode into her Cheyenne village before dawn, torches raised, whiskey laughter cutting through the screams. She told of iron chains in an ice cellar, of dead men whose throats she opened with a sharpened hairpin carved from the bone of her grandmother. Jesse listened, jaw tight, pretending to believe every word, even as unease crawled beneath his skin. No footprints had been in the snow. The storm had not yet started when he found her. Her buckskin clothes were barely damp. Nightbird sat by the fire, letting the flames paint her face in copper and gold. She stared into the hearth as if tracking memories across the coals. Jesse knew the look. He had worn it once, on nights when whiskey couldn't drown the faces of men he'd put on the gallows. When she finally spoke his name, it wasn't a question. "I came a long way for you." Jesse's hand twitched toward the pistol on the table. She noticed. Her lips curved, not in a smile but in the quiet acceptance of someone who has long rehearsed what comes next. "My husband," she murmured, "was not the man you believed. But you hanged him anyway at Fort Laramie. You didn't know my face then, but you remembered his." Jesse's chest tightened. He remembered many faces, outlaws, thieves, killers, but there had been one man who protested his innocence so fiercely, Jesse almost believed him. A trapper accused of murdering a white trader, evidence thin, witnesses drunk. But the law wanted swiftness, not truth. Jesse had done his job. Nightbird's gaze lifted, and the firelight flickered strangely in her pupils, catching on something deep and old, something Jesse had only heard whispered about in saloon corners, and tribal. Stories traded over campfires, spirits that walked between worlds, people who shifted when the moon was swallowed by clouds, wolves who wore human skin. Outside, the storm thickened, piling snow against the cabin walls. The wind began a long, rising moan. Nightbird stood slowly, bones twisting with the grace of a mountain cat, her shadow stretching unnaturally tall behind her. Jesse pushed back his chair, reaching for the pistol. "You came to kill me," he said. She stepped closer, the floorboards creaking under her bare feet. "I came to finish what the winter began." The door slammed as the wind howled, but Jesse knew, and she knew, that the latch had moved from the inside. The fire guttered. Something scratched along the outer walls, circling. Not wolf, not quite man. Nightbird's breath brushed his ear, cold as the blizzard outside. "By sunrise," she whispered, "only one story will remain." And the shadows shifted, answering her call.